we customarily do, we're going to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and ask one of our drum majors to step forward and lead us in that. And then please remain standing for the
Start from
national
here.
anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can be seated now. I have failed to address who we were listening to. My apologies. That was the Council Rocks Out marching band and their student leaders under the direction of Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, always the best. Thank you for bringing everyone else today. With that said, with that, I'll turn to Ms. Rice and ask for the calling of the roll.
Okay. Edward Tate,
Here.
Michael Thorwart,
He's on business travel.
Jerry Bruck,
Present.
Denise Brooks,
Here.
Marianne McKee,
Here.
Joseph Hidalgo,
Also on business.
Christine Marcel,
Here.
Andy Block,
Yes.
Mark Violet,
Here.
Edward Tate.
Here.
Again.
Very good, thank you. With that, Dr. Frazier, it's your turn to give us the superintendent's report and talk about what's been going on in the district.
Will do. Thanks so much, Mr. Grupp. Good evening, members of the board, and good evening, members of our community. I want to start by simply saying thank you to every CR stakeholder for your role in a very successful first 3 weeks of the school year. Our start to the school year has been quite positive and quite productive, and sincerely, we thank all of you for that. Of course, this is a big year for us. We have successfully opened up 2 brand new middle schools, and to everyone who is associated with those middle schools, we also say thank you to you for a job very well done thus far. With those middle schools in mind, I do want to remind everyone that we have a public dedication ceremony scheduled for this coming Monday and Tuesday. Monday at 7 p.m. will be Newtown Middle School, and Tuesday at 7 p.m. will be Holland Middle School. We will join first at 7 p.m. in the auditorium of those respective schools. There will be some refreshments available in the cafeterias, and finish the evening with some self-guided tours. So we are really looking forward to it, and we want every resident, parent, non-parent, it really doesn't matter. Come on out, see these wonderful schools. They are a showcase for our community, and a wonderful, wonderful thing for our students. So please come on out. Again, Newtown Middle School Monday at 7, Holland Middle School Tuesday at 7, beginning in the auditoriums. We hope to see you there, and we look forward to seeing you there. Of course, this is also a big year because we have a major construction project, renovation and addition going on at Wrightstown Elementary School. So they are on a bit of an excursion this year at the former Richboro Middle School building. And I just have to say about the faculty, the staff, the principal, and the parents of that Wrightstown community. They have done a simply amazing job of turning a secondary school, a middle school, and making it look, and more importantly, making it feel like an elementary school. When you walk in there, you walk into the hallways, you walk into the classrooms, you think you're in an elementary school. You are in an elementary school. And to see that transformation take place has been absolutely wonderful, wonderful to see. So kudos to the Wrightstown Ravens. I also want to alert all alumni of the Council Rock School District that an alumni survey was launched this morning. I want to thank Mr. Sanko for leading that initiative. He's done a great job. We are very eager to gather feedback from our alumni, all of our alumni, so we can identify our strengths and also identify those areas that we can and that we should improve. This is all simply part of our continuous improvement journey, and we warmly thank all alumni in advance for completing this survey. This survey was sent out via email. If we have your email address on file, some of you would have received that this morning, and the rest of you will receive that tomorrow. If you do not receive an email from us, that means that we do not have your email on file. So please know that you can go onto our homepage of our website and access that survey, and you can go on to any of our various social media platforms and find access to that survey as well. So again, we look forward to hearing from you, and we thank you in advance. Now, from a redistricting standpoint, a reminder that we have a community public forum scheduled for not this coming Monday, but the following Monday, October 1st at CR South, beginning at 7 p.m. Redistricting, as you know, is scheduled to occur in the upcoming 2019-20 school year. My hat is off to our redistricting committee. They have worked very hard over several months. They met again this past Monday evening for nearly 3 hours, and they have developed a proposed map that by this coming Tuesday, September 25th, we will make available via our website and also push that out via email so that folks can get a good look at that proposed map almost a full week, if not a full week, before that October 1st forum. So again, that forum is on Monday, October 1st at Council Rock High School South in the auditorium, beginning at 7 p.m., and we look forward to seeing you there. Now, I also want to talk this evening about this year's district charity. As I'm sure you know, each year we select a district charity that really our entire school community mobilizes around. Last year, it was Think Kindness, which was fantastic. The year before that was the Travis Manion Foundation, and the year before that was the Philadelphia chapter of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This year, we're looking to make a huge impact right here in our own CR community. We're calling this year's district charity Across the Generations. And the idea is for our students and for our staff to connect with senior citizens in our community in more robust and impactful ways than ever before. And as we do so, we build these bridges across the generations, which I am really looking forward to. We want to see our entire community feel connected, feel as one with our Council Rock School District. And again, we look forward to seeing these connections built in some cases, strengthened in other cases throughout the 2018-19 school year. And I've saved perhaps the best for last. Looking out at some of our audience members here this evening, we have a special recognition this evening for our SAGE program. So Beryl Katz and Kathy Scherzer, I'm going to ask you to join Mr. Grupp and myself up by the podium, please.
please.
Okay, so again, we're going to have a special presentation for a select group of our SAGE volunteers. The SAGE program, as you probably know, stands for Senior Adults for Greater Education. This group does a tremendous amount of good in our schools for our students and for our teachers. Last year, we had 90 SAGE volunteers perform 4,366 volunteer hours, which equates to almost $108,000 of value added to the school district. Our SAGE volunteers can always be seen in the classroom helping small groups of students, in the hallways helping small groups of students, and doing so many other tasks as well that are of tremendous help to us. Their impact is tremendous. Their contributions to our CR schools are massively, massively appreciated. And this evening, we have the opportunity to recognize some extra special SAGE volunteers who have each accumulated last school year over 100 hours of volunteer time. That is a very, very impressive commitment to make and an incredible contribution that these individuals have made. So I'm going to ask you to be the welcoming committee, the greeting committee. And I will announce these names. Not everyone is able to be with us this evening, so I'm going to first announce the names of the folks that we think are here, and then I will be certain to announce the rest of the names as well. And I'll also announce the schools for whom they have worked. We're going to start with Florence Coleman, who has worked at Rolling Hills and Hillcrest. Come on down. We'll see your certificate, please.
Well, this whole crowd doesn't want to come forward. Unfortunately, you have. No, stay with us. We'll take a picture.
Yeah, we'll take a group photo at the end. Larry Ream from Council Rock North. David Rolowitz from Marina and Welsh and Newtown Elementary. Ron Rosenberg from Richboro Elementary. And Sylvia Rosenberg from Richboro Elementary. Susan Shapiro from Rolling Hills and Goodnoe Elementary. And I'm not sure if any of these others are here. Let me make these introductions, and if you are, please come on down. And if not, then we're very happy to give you the credit here anyways and express our appreciation. Mary Pickalack from Rolling Hills. Bernie Collin from Hillcrest. Linda Bernstein from Marina and Welsh. Helen Rosenfarb from Richboro Elementary. Deborah Tent Feller from Wrightstown Elementary. And Joyce Taylor from Hillcrest. Thank you all so very, very much.
have done this before. We have you here for many hours. Well, when did you start? I was saying, I remember you gave us a whole part in 2000. And 1998, we are 18 here. The whole year that I retired.
Thank you, Beryl and Kathy.
Yeah,
Mr. Cox, we turn to your noble portion of the meeting this evening to give us a
Nothing-
solicitor's report.
nothing for the public session, Mr. Drupp, other than to announce the executive sessions on August 24th and September 13th, both of which were on confidential personnel matters.
Very good. Thank you very much. As I look out, I'm just going to ask, there are two people in our audience this evening. Will either of you be making public comment this evening? Very good. And we have sign up, so you should go in order because there's one of you raised your hand. Karen, I imagine, come visit. Typically, it's 3 minutes. We're not going to hold you strict because I don't think we'll be running over a lot tonight.
I'm Karen Knerko. I live in Washington Crossing, and I've had a child in the high school for over the span of 8 years now. And I wanted to come tonight to talk about an issue, something that I encountered on September 7th, Friday night. And I want to start with my mom saying, everyone's fine, no one got hurt. But my concern is a safety-related issue due to weather. And I understand that in recent years, and also having a son that was involved in this, we're playing a lot of out-of-conference sporting events. And on Friday the 7th, I was with the band from Council Rock North, where we were following all the procedures and everything was done in the proper way. But 100 band members, 4 bus drivers, an equipment bus driver, and countless parents and staff members drove to Yeadon, Pennsylvania, which should have taken an hour and a half. And they got there 2.5 hours later because they had to drive through a torrential downpour and a weather alert that was spanning 4 hours. And somewhere in the communication, it was a little muddy, as no pun intended, because we were at a new location that I would be surprised if somebody went to do a site visit at night, because when our 4 buses got there, the kids had to walk about 500 feet down a dark gravel access road to come into a stadium in the rain. There was lightning, and eventually the game was called. But I just think that it bears attention to have maybe somebody look at what the procedure would be when you have a large group, like the marching band's going to something that they're there for enrichment. They're not directly participating in the event. So I did look in the handbook, and I looked at, and we're really good at shelter in place and fire drills and that. And I know there are guidelines for public performances and also for field trips, but I could not find anything about these events that are taking place so far away from the school. There was no area for the kids to get cover during the lightning. The football team actually went back into their buses. I did ask one of the football coaches, why they were proceeding with the game during lightning, and he said he didn't know, and he also did not know who was the person to call the game. So, I'm asking for in the future, if we encounter a weather issue like that for any kind of field trip or anything, that maybe a provision is made for that, where the sponsor or the teacher that's in charge can make a judgment call. Like I said, everyone was fine, but the kids they got back very, very late at night, and it was kind of a difficult time for them because they didn't know what was going on either. And football parents had mentioned to me that they were concerned. The cheerleaders, they left when we got there, so I don't know what they were doing. But I think, for in the future, it's something that needs some attention. So,
Thank you so much for that feedback.
I'm
And
going to leave the National Weather Service lightning
We have-
guidelines here for you, so.
we will, we're going to look into the situation. We'll talk with the folks at North. You said North, right?
Yeah, it was north, but I'm anticipating that south, if they have a night game like that.
Oh, sure.
You know, same
Same
kind of
conditions
situation.
could apply. Yeah.
So,
In terms of calling a game, once a game has started, it's up to the game officials to
Yeah.
call that game. If it's before the game, I'm not sure. I think both teams collaborate on it, and it's the home team's
Right.
call.
The recommendation from the National Weather Service is to have someone that's impartial, that's not involved in the game to take care of it. Now, I personally got there before the ban. I went on I-95, traffic had been stopped, people, tractor trailers were driving about 25 miles an hour. And when I got to the site of the football game, I did witness lightning all around the area. And that's why, it was confusing why the game was proceeding.
Sure.
So, and then from a pragmatic standpoint, all the equipment that the band brings is very expensive. And if the kids play their instruments in the rain, it could ruin their personal instruments as well. So,
Absolutely.
But
Is-
mostly it's the safety.
Is Penwood a school that we have, I guess, Barry, you'll a little more up on this. Is Penwood a school that we often play or have traditionally played?
We've played for the last couple of years. Council Rock North in particular in football has played. Yes.
Okay, it's just the oddity
But
of
It's just,
It's
not
an
being-
it's an
out-of-conference
out-of-conference game. It's a preseason game, yes.
Well,
It's an official game.
And-
but
It's
and-
a
It's an
non-conference.
out-of-conference game, and my understanding is that with the PIAA point system, that both teams had a lot to gain by playing this game. So,
No, I was asking more from the
Yeah.
perspective of, I was concerned that your commentary also about when they're there, they have to walk a great distance to
Right.
get there. And I wonder if we've scouted if the host is responsible for advising about accessibility of their.
Yeah, they came to Council Rock North last year, so this is our first visit
Right.
there, and I actually think this was a new venue for them, or
yes,
a different venue for them.
this was a football stadium that was not attached to a campus.
Yeah.
And
There you
so
go. Okay.
there really wasn't, being a city school per se, there really wasn't parking facilities and
I'm very appreciative you
Lighting,
brought this
so.
forward. It is obviously, when we deal with dynamic situations, it's a little tough to make the call.
right.
I understand your observation, it's true, which should have been one of the referees who is impartial,
Mhm.
in my opinion, should have been the one to call the game for safety, whether on his own volition or at the consultation with the coaches. So we can have that conversation both with the PIA, right, to talk about.
PIAA District 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of those conversations I know have been going on. I wasn't aware of any specific band situations, but there's actually a question about the status of that game. And it's not just playoff points for those two teams, Penwood
Right.
and Sierra North, but for all
It
opponents
continues
for those
on.
schools as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I had actually co-authored a letter with Susan McCarthy and Rob Finley earlier this week and sent it down to Penwood with a request, if you will, for a continuation of that game.
And I understand when looking at this from the top down, it seems very logical and orderly, but when you're in there with 100 kids that don't know what's going on, it's a different, it's a different
Absolutely.
situation.
Thank you.
So,
Safety always comes
yeah.
first.
Thank you for bringing.
And, the buses, the parents were wiping the windshields down with paper towels because they were fogging up. It's just, that's not ideal for that kind of travel. So, whatever we can do to avert a problem,
Very
all the
good.
better. So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Okay, thank you. Very good. With that, I'm going to ask for Kristen, since you're now glad to be part of our membership, you will make a motion for F, which is the approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the August 16th, 2018 meeting minutes as posted.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Hearing no objection, nope. Hearing no objection, I will ask the secretary to record that as passing with unanimous consent. Second thing we talk about is discussion and approval of PSBA office elections.
Yeah, there's a whole slate of candidates. If you have your computers open, and this is available to the public under public content as well. I think this is a Kapua, correct me if I'm wrong, you might know more about this than I do. I think this is a simple yes or no vote for the entire slate of candidates. Yeah, those candidates are identified in that attachment.
I'll make the motion if you'd like.
Please do.
I move to approve the PSBA, Pennsylvania School Boards Association slate of candidates to serve in each position as contained in the attachment to this agenda.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Denise, thank you very much. Any discussion, any commentary?
Yeah, I'm going to be abstaining from this vote. I don't know any of these folks. I haven't had any contacts with any of them. I've supported these slate of candidates in the past. There's been some communication from the PSBA that's brought to my attention a more active role that they have in things that I have to be comfortable with before I vote for a slate of candidates for like this. So for me, I just am not comfortable not knowing. I don't have any opinion either way about the individuals. I've just had zero contact with them.
Very good, thank you. From and having heard that, and I think that it is common amongst the board that many of us will not know all, any, or most of these candidates. PSBA stands for the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. It's actually an association of the approximately 500 school districts and the school boards within the state. It's an association. It's a membership association. It's not required, but it is customary that school boards belong to it. We use their services for a number of things, including the review of our policies, some advice in terms of legal oversight, in terms of legislative review of what happens at the state level. I respect Mr. Bialik's position in terms of not knowing them. I will agree to, from my perspective, I will vote for this slate. These positions, not unlike most positions in this realm, are often difficult to fill because it's a great deal of time. To that end as well, they have policed themselves to some degree within their leadership, and there was a turnover of leadership in recent years after some public statements that may have been better not made. Anybody else want to comment, or we're gonna do a roll call vote because we have the one abstention? But are you abstaining or voting no? You can choose once you call your name.
Sure.
Everett Tate,
Yes.
Gary Grubb,
Yes.
Denise Brooks,
Yes.
Marion McKee,
Yes.
Kristen Marcel,
Yes.
Andy Block,
Yes.
Mark Bialik.
I'll abstain.
Very good, thank you. We move on to our first committee report this evening, and that will be the academic standards report hosted by our noble Ms. McKee.
Thank you, Mr. Grubb. There is no report. Academic Standards will be meeting next week on September 27th.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the Middle Bucks Institute of Technology representative.
The most recent MBIT meeting was at 7:30 this morning.
Thank you for covering that one.
No problem. It was really an uneventful meeting. The normal course of business. We do have a new MBIT logo. That's kind of nice and fancy and clean. That's exciting. We have heard there's been a significant increase in enrollment, so that's great too. And I think I'm hopeful that Council Rock's one of the schools that sent, I would say, better than 15% more students than when I first started, and that's good. I don't know what what's caused it. I know Barry and I talked about increasing the enrollment by 10%, and I'll give you full credit for it, Barry, if that's whatever you did, got it done. So, and I'm hopeful that it has to do with the stigma, of the tech school kids, because first of all, they're all very, very bright, impressive kids, just like the rest of our students. And I hear more and more parents say, I think it might be good for my son or daughter to go into a trade, plumbing, computer repair, graphics, or whatever the case may be, come out without student loans and earn a salary right from the beginning, and that's not a bad thing. So hopefully that stigma's going away. And by the way, MBIT students can get credits at Bucks County Community College, and some of the state schools, like Bloomsburg, I think, has a matriculation agreement, and some others. So that's good too. We're going to also talking about the assignment of the next, one more thing before we do that. So I did discover there was discussion about Council Rock has 2 board positions. We know that to the executive committee. And Jerry had mentioned something about an alternate. And I inquired about that. And apparently we have the ability to have an alternate. So that's 2 board positions, 2 committee positions from the board that are, sitting seats on the board. And then an alternate. We haven't had an alternate because we haven't had an alternate, right? So we can appoint an alternate. So we can have really 3 people that can attend the meetings, 2 of who can vote at any given time. So that's something we should probably consider for situations like a 7:30 a.m. meeting. That'd be great. But it doesn't happen often.
Really?
It's actually,
you want to convince her to take
it's
this
never
role?
happened before. I did brief Kristen before I made this announcement, but it's never ever happened before. Typically the meetings are 5:30 on Mondays and they're done easily within an hour. And their culinary department makes sandwiches and often cake, and it's not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
One thing before we get into that discussion, I thought I'd add, and it happened during the summer, so it didn't get a lot of press, but Kathy Strauss, who is the administrative director of Middle Bucks, was voted or honored as the technical school administrator of the year in Pennsylvania, which is a big deal. So that's really cool. So congratulations on behalf of our board and our district to Kathy, and thanks for everything she does over there at Middle Bucks.
So before we get into that aspect of assignment, the query I have is at what point in the year do students begin to start considering whether they'd want to participate in MBIT? And so my query is, as we're starting this year, is it sensible to have a public presentation either at academic standards or even at this board meeting, which is televised, to give a little bit more, Barry, I'm trying to get to 11%. So does it make sense to potentially do that in the next few weeks or months?
We do begin with the students in 9th grade. So there's a lot, and as you said, Mr. Bialik, a credit to the high school administrators who have opened up their doors and gone out of their way to try to put MBIT representatives in front of the students to explain the programs, try to encourage them to visit. And I think that was part of the reason why we saw a little bit of an increase in attendance. So from a student perspective, that happens early on,
right.
Begins in 9th grade. From a community and a parent perspective, they would not see that until a program planning meeting in January or so, when they attend an evening meeting at the high schools where the MBIT program is explained and there's a representative. So there's not a large opportunity for the general public or the general population of parents to see that unless they have 9th or 10th grade students and they attend the program planning meeting.
And that's what I was trying to get around, which was there's a certain amount of, you spoke to the old perspective on things in terms of it's a VOTEC. Well, it's much more of a VOTEC. And how do you start with a more slight message, which is make people aware of what it is. Mark does that with his report. I would be interested to see if Ms. Strauss or someone from up there would come to attend one of our meetings, just give a brief overview. We do have each week, we have the MBIT representative as part of our student council presentations, but I'll leave that out to you. So it's just a thought.
Mrs. Strauss was here about 4 years ago, I think, at an academic standards committee meeting and did an entire presentation on the school, the programs, Council Rock's participation in those programs, et cetera. So
and she brought the culinary, the video people.
Yep.
They brought everybody.
Yep.
We sat in the room. It's a great presentation. We've had board turnover, and there's certainly new people. Those students who would now be interested were in 5th grade at the time. They weren't thinking of.
So what I think Kathy's great. I mean, she's a great superintendent administrator. What we really want to see are the kids. So I can't think of the program that they do at MBIT. Does anybody remember with the red jackets? What is they go away to a retreat over a weekend? I just can't. I can't remember. Anyway, these kids, first of all, they do a great job in public speaking, addressing the entire board and then the community. Parents and friends are there. And they're just very, very impressive, like all the kids we see here. So it would be great to have the kids here and do that presentation. They do it every year for us. They stand in front of us. There's no reason that a group of them, including our own Council Rock school kids and Central Bucks school kids, whomever, everybody in the sending district come here and give that presentation. Talk about some of the things that they do. That would be great. Again, no slight towards Kathy, but
good idea. Let's talk about representation.
Let's do that. So we have several new board members, and I am having a difficult time managing this meeting, so I asked if any other board members would want to step up, and Kristen had talked about it, and we talked about it a bit, and I did let her know about the 7:30 meeting this morning, but she still is interested in doing it. And it's not a board vote, but I know Joe Hidalgo is also interested, but I think he has some scheduling conflicts, so.
Yeah, I spoke to Joe today, and it's Mondays are tough for him, so he's not going to be able to do it as much as he'd like to.
So I'd like to step down myself, and especially taking on the single chairman role for the finance committee.
Right, we appreciate that. So our current assignments are, before we change them, Andy, you hold one of these seats as well at this point?
Yeah.
And Mark, Mark, because you spoke up first, Kristen's going to take your spot. How you doing on fine?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, it's a challenge sometimes to get there, but Marianne and I had a conversation, and she'd be willing to serve as alternate, and between the two of us, we can make sure that we've always got it covered.
Terrific.
So it works out pretty well. And that's it. Mark and I typically were every other
All right, so let's
meeting, so it worked well that way.
move forward, and we'll ask that the administration notify MBIT that our two primary voters in this past year, Kristen and Andy, and that we will be appointing a alternate in Marianne, and we'll move forward with that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
No, thanks, Mark. It is, my son attended there. It is an interesting program. It's a good program. I will tell you, I have people who I associate with outside who they regret not having taken that program. They've used the phrase that they wish they had learned to earn, because they learned to encourage them to go into university.
Can I say one more thing about that?
Absolutely.
Well, another interesting thing about the programs is that, it's really not gender specific anymore. So cosmetology is still a big driving force. There's public safety too. There's carpentry, but a friend's daughter just graduated from the carpentry program last year. There's boys obviously in cosmetology. So that's good. And that's probably driving enrollment too, because that stigma is, I'm hopeful, also disappearing.
Terrific. We'll turn after we see if Mr. Reinhardt's heart is still going after the microphones make loud noises. Okay, every time you jump out of your skin, Robert. We'll turn to the IU representative, which is Denise Brooks, and also a brief update on some of the key points going on on the legislative end of the world.
Okay, so the regularly scheduled Board of Directors meeting this week was Tuesday night, which conflicted with a holiday that I observe. The materials for that meeting were sent out to the board members yesterday, but yesterday was also a holiday, and it is the one day a year that I am completely unplugged. So I have not had an opportunity to specifically review those materials, but there is a legislative update that I can circulate to everybody later tonight or tomorrow. But separately, the IU is coordinating what they're calling an ACE committee, Advocacy Committee in Education, which is going to be an opportunity for administrators and school directors of all the Bucks County school districts to come together quarterly to get better educated and engaged on federal, state, and local issues that affect our schools. So the first meeting of the ACE group is tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. So every member of the IU board is invited to participate, so I will be there, but each district also has the opportunity to bring other representation, and obviously Kristen enjoys 7:30 in the morning things, so she has volunteered to do that, and I believe Dr. Frazier and Dr. Elliott will be there. I don't know if anyone else. So, I absolutely love being part of the IU because of the opportunity to talk to other school districts and just get a more global view of many things. But to see the IU work together to really address this in a thorough way, broadening the inclusion is a great thing. So I look forward to updating everybody on what transpires tomorrow and at our next meeting.
Legislative, anything top of
I
mind?
just have not had an opportunity. I mean, the thing is that they have a really long summer break.
Okay.
And so the House did not reconvene, I think, until the 12th I don't think the Senate is actually convened yet, so I don't think there's actually much
Taking their time.
brewing. So
After the election, they'll get busy.
exactly. So like I said, I got the materials from Tuesday night's meeting yesterday, but I haven't had a chance to actually look at them. If there's anything really pressing, I'll be sure to let you know.
Very good. Matt, out in the Microsoft Office suite, there is a tool which is TeamSpace. Those things that are informational that are provided like by the IU and other things, if we could look to maybe use TeamSpace to throw up documents so that board members, what are you smiling about? You know?
Well, no,
Okay.
we can throw up documents, but I use that at work, so
Exactly.
it's very good.
So it is, and I want to be very careful about it. We will need to have it set so that only the administration can put documents there. We cannot put documents there because that would constitute passing of documents outside the public view. But the administration has the right to communicate with all board members in a cohesive way. And if you wanted to put those up, that would make sense because we're not using board docs that we did have before anymore, are we? We're done with that. So let's consider that. I'm not telling you to do it immediately, but it's something we could consider as a place for some of the committees supporting documentation. It's really not judgmental. It's not deliberative. It's informational. Cool. Thanks. Mr. Bialik, back to you. It's your evening. Now you can talk about the Council Rock Education Foundation for us.
So I really can't tell you when the last meeting was. And I don't have a report.
I think it was in June.
It was in June? Okay.
That's when.
What's that?
That's when the last meeting was.
Well,
But there's
I'll tell
one
you.
coming up.
I'll tell you what's. Do you know when it's coming up? Would you like to give it?
Actually, they're on Mondays, and I now have a standing Monday conflict, so I will not be attending. But I think it may be. Actually, I think it might be the first.
It is the first.
And now that I remember, because right.
Microphone.
Right, and because I actually had some correspondence, because I usually am not available Mondays, but I'm rearranging my schedule for the redistricting, but that is the night.
So there we are. It's a team effort. October 1st is the next Council Rock Education Foundation event. I'll tell you what they do have coming up as far as district events that are. I've learned that on the calendar is district-wide glow in the dark dance, but that is not a CREF event. That is a district event. Is that right?
That is a CREF
I
event.
thought I was castigated last time for saying it was a district CREF event. So anyway, that's October 5th. It's from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Fuge. The Council Rock Education Foundation is hosting the Newtown Business Association here at 7:30 a.m. on October 25th. That seems to be a popular time slot. There is a basketball game, the Rock versus the Harlem Wizards, November 17th at Council Rock South. And the All Rock reunion is at the Green Parrot this year, November 23rd. Anyone can come from 6 to 8. Great time. We had 100 and some people in our first year. A little less last year, but we expect to have over 100 again this year. Great opportunity for alumni to come together, and there's yearbooks there, and we have lots of people taking pictures together. And hopefully, I think that since we had that great event at Newtown Middle School before it was raised, there are a lot of people who reconnected. So I think we'll see them again at the Green Barrel.
Very good.
That's all I have for now.
Can I add one thing that I guess was not on the website, but on October 23rd, Tuesday, October 23rd, the Raising Healthy Kids series that CREF organizes is having partnering with Crunchy, Council Rock Coalition for Healthy Youth, for a presentation. There will be one presentation addressing vaping, and then there will also be a presentation of the PAYS survey results. So that's October 23rd, Newtown Middle School, 7 o'clock.
Sure. We'll turn to Mr. Tate. I think this will be a brief report too, if I recall.
Policy Committee will meet next on October 15th. That concludes my report.
Making up lost time. All right. What a surprise. I'm going to turn to Mr. Bialik and say, hi, it's Finance Committee.
Okay, you see why I had to give up MBIT now? Very nice to be so important. Thank you. Bob just sent me the presentation. All right, so we had our finance committee meeting last week, and we went through quite a few things that are on our agenda today. Most notably, there's a operations efficiency report. What do we call that? The annual operations report? Is that what you call it?
Results of operations
Thank
for
you.
the year ended June 30, 2018.
So we were significantly under budget with cost, which is helpful, and we were over budget with revenue, so that's helpful as well. We had some direction to move some funds into
The capital reserve.
capital reserve fund
$3 million.
for summer projects. So do you want to talk a bit about that, or you just want to move forward?
I don't have it up.
Okay, it's fine. Does anybody have any questions? So everything that was discussed in the committee was available publicly. Most of the people around the table here were there, or you had a chance to review it. And if you'd like, I can, unless there's any questions about
I would just highlight the transportation department update. We had a significant presentation in regard to that. This year opening was very good, and I was very pleased with how it went. And we did see operations for last year were greatly improved and efficiencies were made, and that was real good news.
Well, I'll say also that at Andy Rowe's direction, there's about over $700,000 in savings, right? And more efficient bus routes and a better relationship, everyone believes, with our contractor, our bus transportation contractor. So all very, very positive moves.
And I think there's a lot of folks who had a lot of work on Andy's team to make things happen. I think during Transportation Week, we said we were going to try and recognize some of those folks
Great.
publicly, just to make, significant savings, improvements in customer service. Busing is not typically, what people get excited about. It's what the bad phone calls, how they come into being there. So it's really, really good to see the change that they've made over the last 3 years.
I do want to point out, Andy Rowe, I encourage people, it is a little long, but I encourage you, if you have any interest at all in bus transportation in the school district, to watch the finance committee meeting we just had. The level of presentation, the level of preparedness, the knowledge of that industry is really remarkable when given by Andy. The other thing we have to keep in mind is we transport about 12,500 students every day, 2 trips, 25,000 trips a day. We do, and Mr. Block refers to, the phone calls. You have to think about just how many phone calls are not made, how many students get on and off those buses because the routes are right, the drivers are considerate, the mechanics take care of the buses, everything works together from putting the kids on to getting them off. There are always going to be rough spots, but it is impressive when you think about how many people get on and off those buses every day and the lack of incidents. The other thing, despite our commentary as we started this evening, the ability of the district to respond quickly when something does happen is remarkable. Andy is out there, the bus company's out there, we get multiple respondents if something does happen. It's just impressive as all get out. And finally, on the topic of buses, we talk about saving $700,000 a year. We're polluting a lot less, just so we're all clear. Everybody remember that we moved to propane, much quieter. And my final comment on the thing is, everything works fine on paper in the computer model. And in the first week of school, you look at some things and they don't quite work. I think this is the first year we've had a little more responsiveness to fixing those and rerouting and readjusting some routes because Andy has invested in technology. And well, we've invested, but Andy Rowe has prompted us to invest in technology. And not only did we invest in it, but they use it well and they use it right. So, and absolute last comment. We started off with Dr. Frazier speaking about Wrightstown at Richboro Middle. This is something which, and you can watch our commentary, these are transit times that are being monitored. We have the ability to monitor those transit times. We have GPS reporting. Andy, and the transportation department knows what time the bus gets to each location, how long the doors are open. So that was a concern, I think, that many people voiced initially. How long is transportation going to take to get to Wrightstown at Richboro Middle? And I really do applaud Andy for his work on that.
I also have to say that Mrs. Fox has done a great job in supporting that and getting the children out efficiently, safely, and quickly out onto the buses. And the parents are very helpful too, where we allow the bus student riders to be released first, and then the parents are allowed to leave. And that has made things unbelievably great. So there's a lot of people that need to be thanked, but it isn't just transportation. We've worked together well, and it's a success in my mind because the alternative would have been terrible. And
Even
I'm
to
so
the point,
proud of them.
even to the point of including our cooperation with Northampton Police, their cooperation with us, that those buses leaving that site, they have an officer there, and that's the priority. At that time that the bus is presented to leave that site, that's the priority to get them off the site. And they stop traffic and make that work.
Okay, I have at least two quick comments, and it is a team approach. Bob, did you stand at a school? First couple days of school, were you also standing outside of school?
For the first week, it was
Right.
hot.
Okay, so, yeah. So there's a lot of folks, including our business manager, who are out there taking care of this, and that's, so the nice thing is we're developing a firm foundation for all the changes we're going to have to make in redistricting, right? So we know how to track these buses. We're doing a better job at making sure they're efficient and that they're being tracked. And again, we want to give kudos to Andy and his team, his entire team, because it is a more efficient machine right now. And we're up to the 2018 with the website. That's great too. But as Jerry said, take a little bit of time. It's about an hour-long presentation, but it's worth it, and you can always fast forward, right?
Mr. Want to make your motion?
I do want to make it. Are you cutting me off, Jerry?
I am.
That takes guts.
It does.
Okay. I move to approve consent item B through G as contained in this agenda.
Second.
Looking for objections, seeing no objections, I'm going to ask for that to pass with unanimous consent. Ms. McKee, we make a motion regarding the, no, never mind, sorry, I thought it was up to personnel. We have an approval of bids, item H.
I move to approve bid number 1865 for projectors, Promethean boards, Lenovo ThinkPads, and accessories at a cost not to exceed $41,127.40, subject to audit.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McKee. Any objections? Hearing no objections, I'll ask for that to be recorded as passing with unanimous consent. Ms. McKee, I'll ask you to take care of both I and J, the personnel actions, please.
I move to approve the personnel actions as contained in the attachment to this agenda
And
Second.
You want to take them together?
And the addendum,
and the addendum.
I and J. You got it?
Second.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, sure.
terrific. Any comments, any objections? I will say this for Mrs. Taylor. You know, I am very appreciative of the way this is running now, that we get the initial one, the second one, because we don't have many people with the district for a protracted period of time before we get to see them on the sheet. So that seems to be working very well, and I'm very appreciative of that. Hearing no objection, I'll ask for that to be recorded as passing with unanimous consent. Moving on to the Facilities Committee, and in his stead, I will ask Mr. Taylor to walk us through the many things that are going on.
Yes. The updates at the last Facilities Committee meeting included security, updates on the Newtown Middle School, Holland Middle School, construction at Wrightstown Elementary School, the design and approval process for Rolling Hills Elementary School, an update on the summer projects, the status of the contracts for each, and a couple outstanding pieces of those projects. And we talked about the consent agenda items that are on the board agenda this evening. The next meeting is Thursday, October 4th, and it will focus entirely on the capital improvement plan, the distribution of the plan, and the proposed projects for 2019.
Terrific. You want to make a motion for the facilities item?
Sure. Go ahead, thanks.
I move to approve consent items B through D as contained in the agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Block. Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Asking for commentary or objection. Hearing none, I'll ask that these be recorded as passing with unanimous consent. Oh my goodness, we're through. Okay. We're up to public comment. How do we get this?
Okay. You got 5 minutes to set a record, Jerry.
Blow that yet.
Yeah.
Again, we only have 4 people in the audience. Is anyone going to speak a public comment? Please indicate by raising your hand. Very good. No one has raised their hand. We'll have no public comment. We have offered the opportunity for public comment, but no one has taken us up on that. Thank you very much, one and all. Board comment. Any new business?
Just real fast. So every year the Rotary Club gives out dictionaries to 3rd graders. I'm assigned basically all the elementary schools in Northampton. We're scheduling right now. If any of my fellow board members want to join me, it's about 7:30 in the morning. We go out and we hand out. It's really not that. But we go out, we hand out dictionaries. We talk a bit about them, give them some discussion about it. It's a really fun time. If you'd like to join me, let me know, and I'll make sure we schedule it at a time when you can join us.
My only comment here is, and this is not being offered at this moment, I have spoken for a while of my impending move out of the district. We are currently looking at that, and it's always good to try and pick a time when these things will occur so we get a little bit ahead of it. It's not tonight, Mark.
It wasn't me.
So I am calling it up early in the conversation because one of the challenges for a district of this nature, and also with our recent changes in board, is a smooth transition. I intend to resign from the board effective at 11:59 on December 31st. So that is my current intention. So I put that forward from this perspective. Whoever will take the position as I vacate it, this board position that I hold as a representative for Region 5 will be on the ballot next year. That means that this position will also have to run in the primary. So we'll run in the primary, and that tends to run as you can cross-file as Republican and Democrat. Whoever wins that for each party then goes on to run in November. I want to put this forward now so people start thinking about it, because as I vacate the position and it has to be filled in January, that position will be voted by the people who are sitting on this board. This is the best time to do it because it is devoid of politics. It's not a party position. It's not this party, that party. You come forward because you think you're the best qualified candidate, put your name in the hat, have a fair hearing. We interview in public every candidate who comes forward. Now, in the past couple of rounds of this, people have chosen not to stay in the commitments, in the fight, but we interview publicly every candidate who comes forward. So when I resign, I hope that everybody who thinks they might want to run next year comes forward. There's no reason not to, because if you get appointed, then you run as an incumbent. If you don't get appointed, you can still run in the primaries. My point is, come forward, let the public see who wants to do this, allow a chance to be interviewed, and move forward in that manner. I find it, I am very torn. This board has done very well of not being a partisan board, of not worrying about what party any one member is. It's a real tribute to this board. I'm very pleased with that. If I could change the state laws around the way you run for school board, you would run without party. And so my intention is, by doing this, we will get the best person for the board without party. And my hope is that person then will continue on to run, win, and continue on for the next 4 years. So I'm putting it out. It is Region 5 for Council Rock. It is voting districts 9, 14, and 16. You can look on our map. Thanks to Ms. O'Grady, you have published the districts. I guess you knew I was going to do this at some point. That you have the locations out there. And again, the intention will be the board will have to vote to replace my role, Region 5, sometime after December 31st of this year. That's the intention. So I appreciate the endurance, but I really want to get this board. I'm in my 19th year of doing this. I've done this because I'm not going to administer from beyond the grave, but I want someone who's going to work for the benefit of the community and not for any political agenda. And that's what I really want to try and get. So that's all from me. That's old business. It's old-ish.
May I?
Please do.
Please, thank you. Just a couple quick notes. The school year got off to a great start, and I think Dr. Fraser deserves a lot of credit, along with his entire team. if things hadn't gotten off to a good start, you'd be hearing about it. So congratulations, Dr. Fraser and everybody. Two other things. Mark talked about the update we got on finances, and I don't think we can gloss over that. The fact that we came in under budget in terms of expenses and revenues exceeded budget allowed us to make a capital transfer of, what was the amount, Bob? 3 million?
3 million.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. And it just shows that Mr. Reinhardt and his team do a great job of budgeting on an annual basis, and we bear the benefits of that. The other thing I want to point out is we have two essentially brand new middle schools that came in under budget, on schedule, got off to a great start at the beginning of the school year. We're going to celebrate them next week, but I think it's really a testament to great management on the part of a lot of people, but especially Doug Taylor, that these projects went off so well. So congratulations and thank you.
How was your first meeting?
It was wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Many more to come. With that, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.